What if the path to forever isn't paved with drama, but with the subtle choices of a single fleeting life? Imagine two men. One had everything money could buy, the other had almost nothing. One lived in luxury every single day, the other lived in pain, right outside the rich man's gate. But when both men died, everything changed. This is one of the most powerful stories Jesus ever told about what truly matters in life. Long ago, there was a rich man. He dressed in expensive purple clothing and fine linen, clothes that only the wealthy could afford. Every day, he lived in comfort. His house was beautiful, his table was always full of delicious food, and he enjoyed the pleasures of life without worry. But right outside the gate of his home was another man. His name was Lazarus. Lazarus was very poor. His body was covered with painful sores. He was so weak that he could barely move. Day after day, Lazarus lay near the rich man's gate, hoping that someone might show him kindness. Sometimes he simply wished for the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his wounds. While the rich man lived in comfort inside his house, Lazarus suffered outside. They lived close to each other. But their lives could not have been more different. For the rich man, life was easy. He never had to worry about food. He never had to worry about clothing. He never had to worry about where he would sleep. Everything he wanted was already there. But Lazarus lived a completely different life. Every day was a struggle. He was hungry, he was sick, and he was alone. No one came to help him. No one carried him inside the rich man's house. No one offered him food. Yet day after day, Lazarus remained outside that gate, perhaps hoping that someone, anyone, might notice him. But the rich man walked past him, again and again, and nothing changed. But one day, something happened that happens to every person. Lazarus died. For a man who had suffered so much in life, you might think his story would simply end there. But it didn't. According to Jesus, something remarkable happened. Angels carried Lazarus to a place of comfort beside Abraham. For the first time, Lazarus was no longer in pain. For the first time, he was no longer hungry. For the first time, he was no longer forgotten. Not long after, the rich man also died, and his body was buried. But what happened next was something he never expected. The rich man found himself in torment. In his suffering, the rich man looked up, and in the distance, he saw something that shocked him. He saw Abraham, and beside Abraham was Lazarus, the same poor man who once lay outside his gate. Now Lazarus was in a place of peace and comfort. The rich man cried out loudly, "Father Abraham, have mercy on me. Send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." But Abraham answered him, "My son, remember that during your lifetime you received many good things, while Lazarus received suffering. But now Lazarus is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, there is a great distance between us. No one can cross from here to you, and no one from there can come here." For the rich man, it was a moment of painful realization. The life he once lived could not be changed, and the choices he once made could not be undone. But the rich man was not finished. He made another request. "Then I beg you, Father Abraham, please send Lazarus to my father's house. I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them so they will not come to this place of torment." The rich man hoped that if Lazarus could go back and warn his family, they might live differently. Maybe they would change. Maybe they would listen. But Abraham replied, "They already have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them." In other words, the teachings of God were already available to them. They already had the truth. But the rich man insisted, "No, Father Abraham, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent." He believed that a miracle, someone returning from death, would convince them. But Abraham's answer was powerful. If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced even if someone rises from the dead. This story, told by Jesus, carries a powerful message. It reminds us that life is not only about wealth, comfort, or success. The rich man had everything people usually chase in life, but he missed something far more important: compassion, kindness, and attention to the suffering around him. Lazarus, who seemed forgotten on earth, was not forgotten by God. And the rich man, who seemed powerful on earth, discovered that earthly success does not last forever. One day, every person must face the reality of eternity. And what truly matters is not how much we have, but how we live. The story of the rich man and Lazarus invites us to ask an important question. How do we treat the people around us? Do we notice those who are suffering? Do we show kindness when we have the chance? Because life can change quickly, and the choices we make today matter more than we realize. After hearing this story, what do you think is the most important lesson? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story made you think, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it.